What happens when the man who built the business from scratch walks into one of his own locations and nobody knows who he is? Owen Adler stood in front of the dingy back exit of Store 11, wearing a faded gray janitor's uniform and a cheap baseball cap pulled low over his face. His beard was thicker than usual, dyed with streaks of gray, and he'd added a few fake age spots to round out the look. Nobody would guess he was the founder and CEO of the entire 11-store chain. He had built the first location 22 years ago from a dusty warehouse with one mop, 2 part-timers, and a dream. Now it was a full-service athletic club franchise across 3 states. But lately, something felt off. Complaints from Store 11 had nearly doubled in the last 5 months. High turnover, low morale, a few vague comments in exit interviews, management doesn't care, treated like dirt. Owen had never met the store's current manager, Trent. He'd been brought in by a district manager about a year ago. Solid resume, sales-focused, but Owen didn't trust paper anymore. Too many people knew how to look good on it, so today, Owen was going in as Rick, the new overnight cleaning hire. Store 11 was short-staffed after 2 janitors quit last week, no reason given. He stepped inside through the back hallway, the strong smell of bleach and old sweat hitting him hard. He kept his head down as he made his way to the small custodial closet. A young woman in a red polo was waiting there. "You're the new guy," she asked, adjusting her name tag. "I'm Amber. I'll show you where the lockers and showers are." "Appreciate it," Owen said, voice lower than usual. Amber moved fast, clearly trying to be helpful. "We've had no one covering this shift all week. Locker rooms are a mess." "Just a heads up, Trent's strict about timing, so don't fall behind." "Got it." As they walked, Owen glanced around. The gym was spotless up front, modern machines, sleek branding, upbeat music. But the employee hallway, peeling paint, dingy walls, a stack of broken fans shoved in the corner. The contrast hit him in the gut. Amber stopped at the men's locker room. "This one's priority. Customers complained yesterday about the smell. The drain backs up sometimes." He nodded and got to work. The locker room was worse than he expected. Soggy towels on the floor, rust around the shower heads, and somebody had stuffed a protein bar wrapper into a sink drain. He rolled up his sleeves and got to scrubbing. 2 hours in, as he was spraying down the last stall, he heard voices outside the locker room door. "He's useless already," said a man, harsh and sharp. "Can't even mop at a decent pace." Owen froze. The voice was close. Through the cracked door, he saw a tall man in a tight black polo standing with a nervous-looking teenage boy in uniform. I just started, sir," the boy stammered. "Trent, you think I care? You represent this store, you show up looking like that, you speak like that." "You're embarrassing us," Trent snapped. The boy's eyes welled. "You want to cry, go home. This isn't daycare," Trent barked. "You're on restock. If I see you dragging your feet again, you're done." The boy scurried away. Owen stood still for a moment, heart pounding. That kid couldn't have been more than 16. He went back to scrubbing, but his mind wasn't on the mildew anymore. The next night, Owen showed up early. Amber was already there, stuffing garbage bags into a cart. She looked tired. "Hey, Rick," she said, forcing a smile. "Thanks for helping yesterday. Place smelled way better today." "No problem, that kid from yesterday, what's his name?" "Jonah, sweet kid, second day. Trent's been riding him hard." "Is that normal here?" Amber hesitated. "I mean, yeah, if you're new, Trent makes you prove yourself. Some people can't handle it." "Was it like that when you started?" She looked away. "Worse." Owen didn't say anything. He went back into the locker room. The drain was still clogged. The stink was worse. He called maintenance. They said they'd been told not to waste budget on minor repairs. That night, around 3 in the morning, he caught Trent yelling at another new hire, this time, a young woman named Lacey. She'd folded towels wrong. "This isn't a fast food joint," Trent shouted. "You're folding towels like you're flipping burgers." She stood there, eyes wide, shaking slightly. "Redo all of them. I want stacks that look like hotel linens." Owen clenched his jaw. The next morning, Owen met with Jonah and Lacey in the break room. He introduced himself as Rick, He asked how long they'd been working there. He asked what they liked about the job. Neither had much to say. Jonah finally asked, "You're just a cleaner, right? Why do you care?" Owen paused. "Because people like you shouldn't be treated like trash." They didn't understand what he meant, not yet, but they would. Owen sat on the edge of a broken bench in the back hallway, his hands stained from grout cleaner and his knees aching from crouching under sinks all night. The fluorescent lights above buzzed faintly. No one else was around, just the hum of the AC and the distant clang of weights from the 24-hour gym floor. It was nearing 5 in the morning, and his shift was almost up. He checked the employee bulletin board across the hall. The schedule was scribbled in pen over a printed spreadsheet, names crossed out, arrows drawn in. Amber had 4 back-to-back overnights circled. Jonah was scheduled for 7 straight days without a full day off. There was no HR contact listed, no emergency number. Just a faded flyer for a staff referral program that promised a gift card if approved. Owen pulled out his phone and quietly took a few pictures, making sure no one saw. Later that morning, he waited outside the building, slouched on the curb with a coffee he'd picked up from a gas station down the road. He kept his eyes on the front doors as the morning shift started trickling in. A woman in her late 40s wearing a corporate name badge stepped out of a black SUV, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. He stood and approached slowly. "Morning." She looked up, startled. "Oh, you must be the new overnight cleaner, Rick, right?" "That's me. I'm Andrea." "District manager," she said. Her voice was curt, distracted. "I'm doing a walkthrough with Trent, just routine," he nodded. "Can I ask something?" She blinked. "Sure. You ever see the locker room drain?" She hesitated. "That's maintenance's job. They said they were told not to come out." Andrea frowned, then checked her watch. "I'll bring it up." Owen watched her walk inside, already dialing. By midday, he returned in plain clothes, no cap, no uniform. He walked straight into the front lobby, past the reception desk, and into the manager's office. Trent was sitting back with his feet on the desk, scrolling on his phone. His posture shifted when he looked up. "Can I help you?" Owen shut the door behind him. "I'm Owen Adler." Trent stared at him, confused, then the color drained from his face. "As in, the owner?" "Yes." Trent slowly lowered his feet from the desk. Owen's voice stayed level. "I've been working your overnight shifts for the last 3 days, cleaning the locker rooms." "Talking to your staff." Trent opened his mouth, searching for something to say. I didn't know you weren't supposed to." Owen stepped closer. "I saw you berate Jonah and Lacey. I saw the condition of the staff area. I was told maintenance was being blocked to cut costs." "Is that accurate?" Trent's eyes darted. "We've had budget issues. I was told to hit targets, not at the expense of human decency." Trent stood, trying to regain control. "I've increased sales numbers. We're up 20% since I took over. I've brought in a dozen new memberships just this past week." "At what cost?" Trent's face hardened. "This is a tough industry. People need to toughen up. If they can't handle a little pressure, you humiliated a teenager over his posture. You made a girl refold towels because they didn't look like hotel linens. You've been running this location like a boot camp. They need discipline. They need leadership." Owen snapped. Trent fell silent. "Clear out your desk. You're done." Trent's mouth opened again, but Owen cut him off. "Today," he stepped out of the office and called Amber over from the front desk. She approached cautiously. "Come with me." He led her to a corner of the gym floor, out of earshot from members. Her eyes darted, unsure. "I'm not Rick," he said. She stared at him, confused. "I'm Owen Adler. I own the company." She didn't speak for a few seconds. "You're what?" "I went undercover to see what was happening here, to see it myself." Her expression flickered, a mix of shock and wariness. "Okay, you've worked 5 overnights in a row. You've been covering gaps. You've been respectful to staff and customers. You've been holding this place together." I just didn't want it to fall apart." Owen nodded. "You didn't let it." He paused. "I need someone to lead the transition here, just for the next few weeks." "You'd report directly to me." Her eyes widened. "Me, you've earned it." She hesitated. "I'm not a manager." You've already been managing everything that matters. She looked down, then met his eyes. Okay, first thing staffing. We're hiring 2 new overnight cleaners, full-time. No more doubles, she let out a breath. That would help, a lot. Second, maintenance is being called today. Anything broken gets fixed, no exceptions. She nodded, still trying to process it all. And third, I want you to meet me tomorrow morning. We'll go through every part of this building. Together? All right. He gave her his contact and left her with the temporary authority. As he stepped outside, the sun was just cresting over the trees. It felt different now. The next night, he didn't come in as Rick. Amber did the walkthrough with Jonah and Lacey, showing them where supplies were, how to log cleaning notes, how to file maintenance requests. She didn't raise her voice once. That morning, Owen returned in a clean button-down and jeans. No disguise. He met her in the break room, now cleared of trash and with new light bulbs installed. "How's it going?" he asked. Jonah passed by with a cart and smiled. "Better," Amber nodded. "Still work to do, but yeah, better." And for the first time in a long while, Owen believed it. Amber stood stiffly beside the front desk, her hands resting on the edge as she scanned the shift schedule Owen had printed out earlier that morning. The paper was freshly taped to the wall, replacing the old, scribbled-over version. It was the first time in weeks the schedule looked stable, no crossed-out names, no last-minute arrows, no desperate gaps. Behind her, the gym buzzed with early afternoon energy. A few regulars jogged on treadmills. The receptionist chatted with a member about an expired pass. But Amber barely heard any of it. Her focus remained sharp. "Reed called out again," she said without turning. "Third time in 5 days." "I know," Owen said from the bench behind her. He gave a different reason each time. Amber finally turned. He was supposed to help Jonah restock the back room. That kid's still learning the ropes. He doesn't know how to wheel those big pallets alone. Owen nodded. "I'll handle it." He found Reed in the employee lounge, lounging with his feet up on a chair, phone in hand. His uniform polo was wrinkled, untucked, and stained near the hem. "You've got a shift today," Owen said. Reed glanced up, unimpressed. "I didn't know I had to check in with you directly now. You've missed 3 shifts, no heads up, just silence." I texted Trent. He said it was fine. Owen stepped closer. "Trent's no longer with the company. You report to Amber, same as everyone else." Reed sighed, tossing his phone down. "Look, I've been picking up slack for months before you even showed up. I don't get paid extra for the chaos. I take a few days to breathe and suddenly I'm the problem? Not showing up without notice isn't breathing. It's leaving your team stranded, and lying about it makes it worse." Reed stood up slowly, folding his arms. "So what, I'm out now?" "No, you're on probation. Amber will be reviewing your performance for the next 2 weeks. 1 more no-show and we're done." Reed didn't speak. He just grabbed his name tag from the counter and walked off toward the back. Owen returned to the front. Amber was talking to a member about a billing issue but glanced over briefly. He gave her a short nod. She didn't smile, but he could tell she appreciated it. Later that day, Owen sat in the break room with Lacey and Jonah. The room still had scuffed walls and a flickering light in the corner, but it was cleaner now. Someone had brought in a small coffee machine. There were more chairs. Lacey pulled her long sleeves down over her wrists, then folded her arms. "Amber told me you're putting together some kind of feedback meeting." "Not a meeting," Owen said. "A conversation. I want to hear what hasn't been working, from people who have actually been doing the work." Jonah looked at him sideways. "People usually say that and then do whatever they were gonna do anyway." Owen didn't look away. "That's true, but I don't like wasting time pretending I know everything." Lacey hesitated. "Then here's something, the towels. There's never enough. Front desk always runs out because nobody wants to go back into that storage closet. It's cramped. Stuff falls on you. I got hit in the shoulder once opening the top shelf." Jonah nodded. "I've been in there. It's like a junkyard." Owen took out a pen. "Good, what else?" Jonah leaned forward. "The card scanners up front. Half the time they don't work. Customers get annoyed with us like it's our fault. Maintenance. We were told not to report it unless they totally broke, something about keeping the service costs down. Owen wrote that down too. That changes now. If it's broken, we fix it. Lacey looked at him carefully. So, what happens to people who ignored this stuff? Trent wasn't the only one. Owen capped his pen and leaned back. People who look the other way while others get hurt physically or otherwise don't belong in this company. She nodded once, then stood. Guess we'll see. That evening, Amber walked the floor with Owen. The gym was quieter. The windows glowed with the orange of early dusk. Reed's back in, she said. Didn't say much. He's on notice. She gave a small nod. I was worried you'd let him slide. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to run a place people aren't scared to work in. They passed the front desk, where a new hire Marisol was helping a member sign up for a class. Marisol glanced up uncertainly, then back to her screen. She's good, Amber said quietly. Fast learner, keep an eye on her. If she's solid, let's get her trained on the weekend supervisor shift. You shouldn't be covering doubles. Amber didn't argue. We still need another night janitor. The second cleaner quit the day after you left. I've got someone interviewing tomorrow. Used to manage facilities at a community center. Knows how to spot mold with his eyes closed. Amber cracked a tired grin. That'd be a first. As they reached the locker room hallway, they heard a voice raised in frustration from inside. Owen stepped in first. Reed stood near the back, arms crossed, while Jonah struggled with a refilled soap dispenser mounted too high on the wall. A small puddle of liquid soap had spilled onto the floor. You can't even close a dispenser, Reed said, voice low but cutting. You've been here 2 weeks, man. Get it together. Jonah's hands were shaking slightly as he wiped the floor with a towel. Stop, Owen said, voice firm. Reed turned, startled. Leave the room, now. You were belittling someone doing their job. That's not probation, that's over. Reed's face darkened. You're firing me for that? Yes. Unbelievable, Reed muttered, brushing past them. Owen turned to Jonah. You all right? Jonah gave a quick nod. Yeah, I just didn't want to crack the plastic. The last one snapped. You did fine. Go take a break. Amber and I will finish in here. When Jonah left, Owen opened the dispenser and checked the hinge. It was warped probably from years of overuse. Why didn't maintenance replace this? He asked, more to himself. Amber crouched beside him. They never even knew. The next morning, Owen brought in a local contractor to walk the building. They made a list of every damaged hinge, rusted vent, and broken fixture. The contractor didn't flinch at the scope. It's a week's work, tops, he said. But you'll need to close off sections. Do it. They started that afternoon. Certain locker rooms were temporarily closed and signs went up explaining the repairs. A few members grumbled. Most nodded and moved on. Amber stood near the front desk, watching the contractor's team roll in carts of supplies. You sure about the timing? This might slow things down. Owen replied, we've been moving fast for the wrong reasons. Time to move steady for the right ones. That night, Owen walked the building one last time before locking up. He passed the break room. The light had finally been fixed. A small note was taped to the coffee machine. It read, Thanks for not pretending to care. No name. He left it there. Owen arrived just after 7 the following morning, stepping through the glass doors as the last of the overnight shift clocked out. He gave a quiet nod to Lacey as she passed him on her way out, rubbing her eyes with the back of her sleeve. She didn't say anything, just lifted 2 fingers in a vague wave. He respected that. The last few days had been taxing on everyone. Inside, the gym felt different. Not because it looked new, most of the repairs were still underway, but the atmosphere had shifted. The front desk staff greeted members without glancing nervously down the hallway. Jonah was restocking protein bars near the juice bar, moving slower than necessary, but with a focus Owen hadn't seen in him before. Amber met him near the staff entrance, holding a clipboard filled with updated inventory sheets and equipment tracking forms. Morning, she said, eyes scanning the wall clock. We had 2 members complain about the locker room noise from the contractors. One of them slipped on a wet floor sign, wasn't even wet, just left out. I already pulled it. Anything else? Lacey reported that one of the treadmills near the corner has a belt that jerks when it starts. She marked it off, but it needs a technician. Good. I'll get someone out by the end of the day. Amber paused, then lowered her voice. We're still short one cleaner. I've been covering an hour past my shift every day to help keep things manageable. He looked at her. Why didn't you say anything? Because people are starting to notice when things actually get done. I didn't want to break the rhythm. He nodded once. We'll rotate the floor staff into cleaning cycles until we fill the role. Keep it sustainable. She handed him a second sheet. Also, we got an anonymous note yesterday. Said Trent used to dock people's hours if they didn't look sharp enough on shift. I cross-checked the time logs. There are 4 names that had hours shaved more than once. Names: Jonah, Lacey. And 2 others who already quit last month. Owen folded the page and tucked it into his jacket pocket. I'll take care of it. He found Jonah near the back entrance, sorting through a delivery of bottled water and towels. The kid was sweating, even in the morning chill from the open loading door. Got a second? Owen asked. Jonah straightened immediately. Yeah, sure, your time logs from last month. Did Trent ever change your hours after you clocked out? Jonah glanced around, then nodded. Yeah, once I stayed late to do the trash run. He said I looked sloppy in front of a customer, so he took off 15 minutes. Did you report it? He said it was policy. I didn't know what I could say. You're going to get that time back, same with anyone else it happened to. Jonah blinked. Seriously? Yes, that's not a policy. That's theft. Jonah didn't respond, but the tension in his shoulders eased slightly. Later that day, Owen sat down in his office newly cleared out, with only a desk and a chair for now, and opened a call to the company's payroll department. I need you to issue retroactive pay corrections, he said. 4 employees, I'll send names and hours. I want it processed by Friday. The supervisor on the other end didn't argue. Within 20 minutes, the forms were in his inbox. By afternoon, the contractor had finished replacing the broken vent covers in the locker room and moved on to securing the shelving in the back storage closet. Owen stood with Marisol as she watched the workers drill anchors into the concrete wall. We used to stack stuff so high it would just lean on the door, she said quietly. I always thought it would fall on someone. It nearly did. She looked at him. Do we get training on what's safe and what's not? Like for organizing chemicals and stuff. You will now. Marisol crossed her arms. I want to learn. I just don't want to end up like the last girl who quit. She said nobody told her anything, and then they blamed her for messing up. That ends here. As the sun dipped low, Owen called a staff meeting. Not a formal one, just everyone who was off shift or between tasks gathered near the juice bar after the last of the peak hour crowd had left. Amber stood beside him, arms folded but alert. Jonah and Lacey leaned on the service counter. Marisol hovered at the edge. A few other floor staff trickled in faces he hadn't gotten to know yet, but they stayed. That meant something. I want to thank you all, Owen began. The last few weeks here haven't been easy for anyone, and I know some of you are still waiting to see if what's changing will actually last. Nobody interrupted. Nobody nodded either, but they were listening. I've seen what happens when people in charge stop listening, when they stop showing up. I let this store drift further than I should have. That's on me. He took a breath. From today forward, every shift will have a direct line for reporting issues. That goes straight to me or Amber, not a district manager, not a form that gets buried. Amber stepped forward. And we're opening applications internally for 2 supervisor roles. We're not hiring outside unless we have to. If you've been showing up and doing the work, you get the first shot. Someone in the back, Owen didn't catch who asked, what about hours? We still have some people pulling doubles, Owen answered. We're hiring 2 new staffers this week, one for overnight custodial, one for floor support. Until they're in place, we'll rotate extra hours with staggered coverage. No one's working more than 6 days straight. Another voice. What about pay bumps? Evaluations start next week. Amber said. "We'll be reviewing performance and time in role. Raises will be tied to consistency, not just tenure." Jonah raised a hand halfway, then lowered it. "Go ahead," Owen said. "What happens if someone starts treating people like Trent did again?" "No warnings," Owen said. "Not for that. You treat people with disrespect, you lose the right to wear that uniform, period." The room went still, not tense, just solid, like something finally settled. When the meeting ended, the staff didn't scatter immediately. A few stayed, chatting in small groups. Lacey laughed at something Marisol said. One of the newer hires offered to help Jonah finish organizing the last of the stockroom. Owen stepped back toward the front, where Amber was checking the day's shift logs. "You meant it?" she asked without looking up. "About raises next week?" "Yes, you're getting one too," she raised an eyebrow. "I didn't ask for that." "You didn't have to," she clicked the pen closed. "What about the other stores?" "I've already scheduled visits." She nodded once, then added, "Don't wear the cap again. That thing made you look like you'd been living in a supply closet." He laughed just once. Julie noted. As Owen stepped outside into the cool night air, the gym behind him glowed with warm, steady light. It wasn't fixed, not yet, but it was mending, and this time he wasn't watching from a distance.